I mean, Ho Ching also hard to say that she's part of the establishment. She's, married to the establishment.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
She's a key opinion leader.
Key opinion leader.
If I come to you with like two hands like this.
A bit hard to see your hand, but it's clearly a handshake, Terrence. I don't know how many people come up to you with two hands out in the open.
So I actually think it's possible that she did not see that as an immediate gesture for handshake.
That's your PAP
My
apologies.
dog. My PAP dog tendencies are coming out. Time is running out. This is your final chance to nominate a loved one to be part of a very special SG60 project that we're doing. Singapore is celebrating its 60th birthday, and Folklory, our audio service, is marking this milestone in a very special way. We'll be interviewing 60 Singaporean seniors over 60 years old to capture their life stories for our Words of Wisdom project. But interview spots are disappearing fast. Your parent, grandparent, or that wise uncle could miss their place in history if you don't act now. Here's the best part. It's a heartfelt one-on-one interview done remotely. No travel, just their life story recorded from home. Nominate them right now at the link in the show notes. And don't forget, the first interviews are already live. Hear them now at the same link. But hurry, we're closing nominations soon. And now, on to the podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news with a touch of what, Terrence?
Good old humor.
Good old humor, man.
Yeah.
I say thrice weekly, but last week was twice weekly.
Yeah. It was just a confluence of so many different things that we couldn't imagine, right?
Yeah.
My ankle and you defying Goh Meng Singh's COVID mandate, right?
Which was what?
Basically, you took the vaccine, right? But you still got COVID and everything, right?
I haven't taken the vaccine recently. Now it's the fifth booster or something. Have you?
Okay. No, I haven't. Yeah. So, but I'm just saying, Goh Meng Singh would say that, he didn't. Even taking the vaccine doesn't help, right? But
that's a very long-winded way of saying that I got hit by COVID last Friday. And I Thursday itself, I was feeling a bit under the weather. And we had a few meetings. I wore a mask. I tried to be responsible. Then the what?
You did. You wore a mask. Tried to be responsible. Yeah.
I wore a mask. But because the thought did occur to me that maybe this is COVID. I don't think so. It felt regular. Thursday night through the night, it felt like the devil was cutting through my throat.
Oh really?
Then Friday morning I woke up. I was like, oh shit. And I tested it, and the line was dark as hell.
Yeah.
Even though it was fun to read comments when I posted on Reddit, or like people saying, "Oh, maybe it's because Harish and Terrence haven't spoken to each other since the persuasion gate."
Yeah. The big elephant in the room, I say. A lot of people were saying. Yeah.
Hey, elephant, very loaded word now, no, Terrence.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
But that was hilarious. And I'm guessing it will come up during the one Shiok Comment last segment towards the end. But it was, I was very touched by how invested people were in our own emotions after that whole episode. Even though I think right after the episode, we just went for lunch.
That's right. Yeah, it was as per normal. Yeah. I think, and we can talk about that later, the one Shiok Comment, right? About how people are reacting to it. But it's part of life, man. We just get through. Like how you having COVID and everything. We just carry on with life. 5 years ago, we would have shut down the country and everything just because you have COVID. But look at us now, man. We're just carrying on as per normal.
Yeah. And the reason I'm recording from home still, even though the plan I was hoping for was to go into office today, was this morning I still tested positive.
Yeah.
And how hard this COVID has hit me has also been quite surprising. I thought by now people get COVID, it would just be a few symptoms here and there. Wow, Friday I was destroyed. Saturday, Sunday, today is the first day I feel like I can actually function a bit. Have you heard of anyone anyone who kena COVID recently and what their symptoms were like?
I heard someone who got COVID second time. They always say the second time is easier, not as bad as the first time. But yours is the reverse.
But I think my first time also when I thankfully I haven't gotten it for a while. I think my first time was a while back. I remember it being not the easiest, but this one maybe it was more than I thought. Than I thought it would be. And it sucks because I'm isolating in my own house, so I can't even play with my daughter.
I see.
And that is genuine, Terrence, before you think I'm just trying to say the textbook thing.
Hey, relax.
It's genuine.
Don't get so defensive, Harish. Don't get so defensive. Wow, you're like so defensive all the time. Like, wow,
I
just
mean, I've
one
been scarred.
a
I've been
comment
scarred so
only.
many times already. I've been scarred too many times already. But yeah, it sucks, man. And my wife also got hit with COVID, but she came out of it faster.
Yeah.
Most of the parent duties have been falling on her lah.
Yeah. Superwoman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
shout out to her, man. Shout out to her.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah.
okay lah. I mean, you get to watch like football, watch like Portugal, your idol, win a championship yesterday, right?
You see, anyone who bought into your narrative that I made fun of you when you had your ankle and all, right? Look at what you're doing now.
Not
Look at
making
what
fun of
you're
you.
doing.
I'm just talking about football, Haresh. Why so sensitive? Why so defensive?
Don't give me this gaslight thing.
I'm happy. I'm happy for you that your idol won a.
How is your ankle, Terence? You know?
Much better. Yeah,
better.
still healing, but much better. That's why I'm in the office. But yeah, Ronaldo won a big cup yesterday, man.
Yeah,
How
man.
did that make you feel?
I mean, happy lah. And now the Portuguese team, they're good, man. And I mean, I did watch the highlights this morning, and it looked like a super exciting match.
Yeah.
So Spain and Portugal, I mean, Ronaldo at 40. Is it 40? Is 40 already?
Yeah, he's 40, I believe.
Yeah, captaining and scoring. I don't know how he played the rest of the game lah.
Yeah.
But fun.
Yeah. And the French Open yesterday as well. It was an exciting match.
Yeah, exciting
for people
match.
who miss the big three of tennis, who are slowly. I mean, at least the last one's on his way out, lah. Djokovic.
Yeah.
But yeah, here we are back to the grind of Yellow Butt, and hopefully can resume the three times a week this week.
Hopefully.
If all goes
Hopefully
well.
Wednesday I'll be back in the office lah.
Yeah, hopefully. But yeah, it's been a while since we talked about the news, and there's already stuff to touch on. But before we jump to all that, what do we always have to talk about?
That if you are new to this channel, this podcast, or even if you have been listening to for a while but haven't yet followed us on social media, please do check us out on Instagram, TikTok, and Reddit. I think Reddit now is like booming, man. It's boom time.
Yeah.
So many posts happening there without even us posting anything, and people are talking, which is great. So please check us out there. And if you haven't followed us on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please follow us there as well.
That's right. And if you want to work with us, email us at contact@ministryoffunny.com, or just visit us at ministryoffunny.com and contact us there. Yeah.
Indeed, man. Sweet.
But yes, jumping right into it. Last week we didn't have a lot of chances to talk about this, but this piece of news has been percolating for a while, and a lot of different opinions have come forward about it. What is this piece of news?
It is a piece of news that first broke about a week ago on LinkedIn, of all places. We constantly talk about LinkedIn in sometimes not the most positive light. I think a few weeks ago there was that whole drama around the fake Piyush Gupta picture. But there was this one Dr. Hisham Badarudin, who posted something that just very simply, this is obscene, 52K per month rental for a clinic in a HDB area, madness. And what will MOH say? I bet they will say rental in private sector is out of their purview. And he shared a screenshot, which was the results of a tender for a clinic at Block 954C, Tampines Street 96, which I believe is a relatively new development, or in the middle of new developments. So there were 13 bids in the screenshot, 12 of which were unsuccessful, and the top one being remarked as successful, with the tendered rent being $52,188.
Yeah.
Which just means that for this open tender, that was a winning bid lah. We don't have much info on what the second highest bid was, but this is the highest bid ever lah for a HDB clinic.
Yeah, that's
right. So that went viral on LinkedIn, and then a few days later, I think maybe even 1 or 2 days later, Ong Ye Kung himself, the Minister for Health, the day after, on 4th June, came out and posted on Facebook, "I am dismayed at the monthly rental bid of over $52,000 or $1,000 per square meter for a GP clinic." And he shared his thoughts. And since then, there have been many articles that have been written. Of course, none other than Ho Ching has chimed in.
Yeah.
But how were you following the news last week?
I think, the moment it came up on LinkedIn, and then subsequently people were sharing it on Reddit and all, that was when I first heard about it. And just shocking, because I mean, that price for a HDB clinic is like, to me it was like unheard of, right? Not that I keep track of the HDB clinic rentals, but just in the whole vibe of like, everyone's talking about how commercial rentals now are out of this world. Just hearing this number, it's such a shock, even for someone who was already primed for talking about high rentals in Singapore.
Do you have any idea what sort of rental rates the HDB clinics normally get?
Just based on estimates reading around, like even the clinic that won this bid, they said that the other locations are like, I think $7,000 to $10,000 a month for rentals for similar sizes. So 52 is just huge, right? It's like five times of that.
Yeah, and I mean 52K a month, which works out to about 1.7K a day in rent.
That's right.
So I mean, since then, the most immediate announcement was Ong Hee Kang himself coming out and saying that, very openly saying that the high rental bid would relate to a higher cost of healthcare one way or another and negate the efforts of MOH to try and keep the cost of primary healthcare affordable. So starting off the bat already, he said something which, I mean, I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
Or which is something we haven't really heard, how rent can ultimately affect the final price of a service. Right. And then he goes on to say that, the role of a GP is increasingly important. Last month, so May 2025, MOH and HDB launched a new tender approach for GP clinics at Bartley Beacon. So basically, instead of 100% just being awarded based on the amount of the bid, 70% will account for the quality of care and rental will only account for 30%. And it is now known as the price quality evaluation model. So this one, I think, was only closed on May this year, whereas the one for Tampines was closed in December last year.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not going to apply, but he said going forward, given the encouraging response to the Bartley Beacon site, they want to make the PQM approach the norm when tendering for GP clinics in HDB heartlands. So I think the more CBD area, kind of non-HDB heartlands, private residential areas, all different, but this PQM is supposed to be there.
Yeah, correct. And the actual one of the co-owners of the clinic itself, Andrew Chim, he also came forward to talk about the rent, right? And he, tried to explain the business model behind the 52K bid, and also said that rent is not commensurate with what the consultation fees will be for the clinic. And it seems like he intends to keep the consultation fees very much in line with all the other clinics that he runs as well, right?
Yeah.
And he basically gave a breakdown of like the business model behind what they're thinking for this Tampines clinic. And the interesting thing was this happened actually even before Ong Hee Kang actually responded. So I think there was already quite a bit of buzz about this 52K bid, and he already was being interviewed by the press and all. Then Ong Hee Kang had a response separately.
So even before Ong Hee Kang's response, let's say you read this the moment it came out, right?
Yeah.
How would you? What would you make of his justification or explanation?
I mean, the TLDR to me of his justification was that it's a long-term game, right? That he's playing there. He's studied the market in this Tampines outlet. He's aiming for the BTOs where there's less, old clinics with long established footprints and clients and all that. So he wants to go in there early and capture the young families in the BTOs nearby and all. So it seems like they're really playing a long-term game, and they're only expecting to really break even after 18 months to 2 years or so. And after that, there might even be, even if there's a reduction in rental, or if there's no reduction in rental, they'll still be happy to stay at the location. That's what he's saying. So in some sense, it reminded me of when we had that conversation with Fei Sai, the third generation hawker who was also raised eyebrows when her business bid for, I think, I can't remember what, it was a really high bid for the Holland Avenue site. 6K.
6K maybe.
Yeah, 6 to 10K or something like that for the Holland Avenue site. And I think she also explained her business model that, they know what they're doing and they've studied the site. They know what kind of, they know what actually is required of the business to survive with such high rental and all that. And they're doing a long-term game because, they're establishing themselves in a location. They're looking to cater to the people who live and work there and become part of their daily lifestyles.
Yeah.
So I did see a parallel in what they're trying to do here, where, for a year or 2 years, they won't be making much money at all, but they only be maybe breaking even. But they wanted to establish themselves in an area. So I can understand a bit of what he's explaining about the business model.
Yeah. But how does it make you feel, Terence, hearing the justification?
I mean, it still sounds crazy, right? 52K. But the truth is that his company, Andrew Chim's company, has bid like almost more than 30,000 as well for another site previously, and they didn't get it. So, it's quite a cutthroat market. I think, there are other bids elsewhere that go up to 40K, right? So maybe they just wanted to avoid any opportunity of actually losing this bid, which unfortunately they bid, I think, more than double the second highest bid or so, right? And ultimately they're paying rent to the government. So it's kind of like, all the profit that could have gone to them actually now is going into their rent.
Yeah. I mean, but that means you feel like, you never answered my question. What do you feel? Like, you feel like, okay, it makes sense. Like, did any part of you like feel like a bit off, or you're like, you know what, this is what Singapore should be like, a free market all the way?
No, I don't think it should be free market all the way. But if you're just trying to understand from the business perspective why someone would bid so high for a clinic, I think I understand it better.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's like they made a mistake or they're crazy, right? This is just it's a calculated move on their part.
Yeah. I mean, it's a calculated move, and the bid you mentioned just now, it was for $40,088 for a unit at 235B Tengah Garden Walk, lah. But when I was reading his justification, first of all, I'm like, just what happened on April 11th, there was an article on the Straits Times written about the co-founder himself, Andrew Chim. So, I mean, he's like 37. He has no medical practice training, but he started it with his friend who's a doctor and a friend's wife. And I mean, this is all public info. I'm not doxing him or anything. So they first opened their clinic in 2019. And then now the Tampines one is going to be their fourth. So when he talked about it back then, at that point, they were already making 300K revenue per month across 3 clinics. And I mean, he did say that his best financial decision was that they invested 250K of their own money to start the clinic, but now they've raised funds from investors at a valuation of 7 million. They've borrowed money from the bank to expand their business. So I mean, they've raised funds. He did say in the article that within 18 months they expect to hit profitability, right? And I think another article said that even if the HDB doesn't change the rent for the next 3 years, they should still be able to do . So my question is like, oh shit, like how profitable are his clinics? Because if you're thinking about it, that's 552K a month, like 600 plus K a year for one clinic just on rent.
Yeah.
And then he did say that the fees won't go up. Like the consultation fees will be $30 to $35 depending on whether you come during the day or the night or weekend or weekday. Then it feels like, oh shit, like, I don't know, maybe it's just because it's a totally foreign industry, but it feels like, is that really that profitable a space?
Yeah.
I personally know some friends who do have their own clinics and they're doing pretty well for themselves. So the one thing is, okay, that means it's fucking profitable and you can understand why doctors want to become GPs.
Yeah.
But the second thing is also when he said that based on the demand of 5,000 households coming up for future BTO projects, it makes me think like, oh shit, is it then that there are going to be less clinics per household? I thought the whole goal of building these BTOs where every kind of cluster of blocks have a few basic services. Now laundromat seems to be one of them, a Sheng Siong or grocery, doctor, dentist. But then this one is 5,000 households. It becomes such a lucrative opportunity that if you get it, wow, it's returns for like the next few years. Then it feels like, is there something up with the planning there that's a bit off?
Oh, so your worry is about that there will be fewer of these clinics or something?
like if someone can say so confidently that okay, if we capture these BTO households, we should be on track to be profitable in 18 months, then it makes me think like, okay, at such an insane rate to be that profitable means how many competitor doctors or GP clinics do you have? I thought the whole goal of BTOs compounds are every few blocks you have shared services lah. So for him to say 5,000 households, I don't know how many blocks that typically translates to. Sometimes the buildings can be like 40 stories, right?
Yeah.
But then it makes me think about, how many clinics per BTO project is the ratio lah?
I mean, but he's not saying that there won't be other service providers around, right? It just he did say that he's confident because of the groundwork that they've been doing, and that they want to establish a long-term relationship with the 5,000 new BTOs, right? So I guess as a doctor, you build a lifelong relationship. That's someone who just keeps that is a client who just keeps coming back, right? Repeat customers and all, and that's what you want. And yeah, you won't get all 5,000 new BTO residents, right? But if you capture enough repeat customers from there, there can be other clinics in the ecosystem that capture other people. And I think it doesn't mean that he needs to run a monopoly in order for it to be successful.
Yeah. But that question did come to mind because of the astronomical rent.
Yeah. I mean, the bigger worry I have is, just thinking about the numbers, right? That the 3 clinics were making, on average, about $100,000 in revenue per month, right?
Yeah.
If you think about that and you just extrapolate that this clinic will be, at least for the start, maybe no different, right?
Yeah.
That means his rental comes up to more than 50% of whatever more than 50% revenue, his rental expense, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, just running a business, just realizing, just thinking about, when you hear that when running a business, more than 50% of your revenue is actually goes out as a rental expense. That sounds unsustainable, right? For anybody running any kind of business.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, in Singapore, it's getting worse and worse, right? Maybe rule of thumb, maybe say 15% is what you should spend on rental. Like I hear that a lot of F&B businesses are now looking at more like 20, 30, 40% even. But this clinic straight out just like, we all know the figure is public that it's more than 50% already, right? Of the revenue. So it's just the expectation that such a huge amount of your operating expenses are spent on rent is just kind of worrying, is that what the norm should be for businesses going forward? Is that what they should expect? That's what I'm worried about.
So you know what this sounds eerily familiar to? Do you remember when the goal of every startup, right, was to grow at all costs?
Yeah.
And they were raising money from investors and fundraisers like so easy. The whole mantra for companies like Grab and all the social media companies that were popping up over the past few years was like, we capture the market first and then we figure out how to monetize. Right? But at the end of it, a few years later, when the money all dried up, I think investors generally, they started looking for businesses that are profitable to begin with, as opposed to hope for profitability, right?
Yeah.
So then you look at that, it went through the tech bubble, then the bubble exploded, and now I'm glad there's more emphasis on companies that are profitable. But looking at this, right, and then remembering that something even Dr. Paul Tambaya pointed out on our podcast, right, is it something about how private companies can't, a lot of medical clinics, medical practices are owned by private equity or private investors, lah.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what was the comparison he made.
Comparison, I think it was like, basically, if you're not a lawyer, you can't start your own law firm, right?
Yeah.
But for the medical field, you don't have to be a doctor and you can start your own clinic, right?
Yeah, exactly that. And this guy, he partnered with a doctor, but I think Paul Tambaya was pointing out that if you want to invest in a clinic, you can, or you're a private equity fund, you can technically start your own chain, lah. Then when you look at that, you're like, oh shit. You can imagine if their long-term strategy is like, okay, we just have first mover advantage in all this and we will outprice the competition. Yeah. I don't think that bodes well also for healthcare. And that's why I'm glad that Ong Yi Kang said that if with these sort of rents, it must translate to higher cost for the patient. Because so often we hear all these things when it comes to hawker centers or F&B that higher rent might not necessarily translate to higher pricing. Like even your point, right, that if more than 50% is used for rent, you're talking about the consultation fees just staying standard. Feels a bit of a like can trust or not? Because over the years, basic consultation fees for heartland clinics have been going up, right? Then you see this, you're like, oh shit, is this like a more how you say a public example of what Dr. Paul Tambaya alluded to, and something that has been happening under the radar? Because the thing for that Tengah 40k, even if someone posts like 40k is insane, I think most people would agree it's insane lah. But that was not discovered until this news broke. So then it feels like we might actually be trending towards that, man.
Yeah, it's quite scary.
Yeah, it's damn scary.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I was like, when I was reading Ho Ching's post as well, right, where she, was justifying the business's decision to bid for it. I just found it like, it's quite interesting that she's so positive about what the business owner is saying, right? That that's a long-term investment, that it's building up family practice clientele, and parents and kids will grow through it. And they give a lot. She gives a lot of credence to what the business justifies as why they're paying for the high rent, right? And she talks about how it can actually benefit people. It could, lead to more predictable operating hours for the doctors, and then they will be able to have longer operating hours. And then she says one day when the estates are more established, their staffing is stabilized, they can even evolve into 24/7 urgent care clinic if they demonstrate the ability to deliver good care affordably. So I'm just very surprised. Well, she projects so far into the future where the business does so well and is able to provide so many more services. Almost, she's saying that it's almost like a inevitability that because they have higher overheads and everything, right? And then after that, that they will operate more efficiently and they'll become better, and then everyone benefits. It just sounds a bit too good to be true, right? Like that everything just happens in a straight line like this, right? That because you have high overheads, you have to maybe charge higher, but because you charge higher, you can also operate a more stable business, and then after that, you invest back into the community and the business by providing more care and a better quality of care for everyone. She always talks about it like inevitability.
That's like saying that you go out with one friend who open bottle. What's that annoying thing where the sparklers come and the lights.
Opening bottles.
No, there's one where like the girls come with firecrackers and sparklers, right?
Okay, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
But what is that called? What bottle do you have to open to do that?
Crystal or whatever, right?
Something. Yeah. So that's almost saying that, just because that guy can drop 20k on that bottle, means he must be a damn successful businessman. And, he can provide well. I mean, yes, there are people who are very successful who do that, but you can't just reverse engineer the logic,
Yeah.
A lot of it sometimes is like scam money. There's even people who spend over their budget. You never know their true spending. So when reading hers also, I was like, she even did a calculation which was more optimistic than even the business owner themselves. Because she said in the ST article, they mentioned that they will add a second doctor when their volumes hit 70 to 90 patients per day at the Tampines clinic. And then she says at 100 patients a day, $33 per consult, this works out to 3,300 per day or about 99,000 a month top line. And this excludes other services such as medication. So basically she's painting a picture that, of course they should be able to afford it. Of course, 100 patients a day is like easy. But I mean, just looking at the comments, I think other doctors are saying, 100 patients a day is a fuck ton of patients.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why, it's kind of interesting that this came up now, because I think there have been a lot of back-the-envelope calculations about how much a GP makes and all that, right?
Yeah.
And it's quite shocking that, if they see a lot of patients, obviously, they will be able to make more money, right?
Yeah.
But that also makes you worry, because when you think about healthcare, it's not I mean, when you go and see a doctor and you're in pain and all that, a lot of times, if you're just shepherded in and out, like you're just a number, something that they need to process, where there isn't enough time to ask questions or all that. It feels very like your needs are not taken care of, right? And that goes against what you would want to get from your doctor, which is assurance, right? So, I mean, inevitably, if you are seeing that many more patients a day, there are only that many opening hours a day, you will have to speed through your patients faster. And I mean, I do worry that the quality of care provided does decrease also because of these cost pressures of the, paying for the overheads in the clinic.
But Terence, you think they will bid so much if they cannot see 100 patients a day? These people have done their homework, Terence.
Yeah.
They know what it feels like to see 100 patients a day. And if they see 100 patients a day, that would mean that they can see even more patients on a daily basis. Because maybe they can easily go to 120 patients a day.
Correct. I mean, it just means you can't make small talk with your doctor anymore, right? You go in really, it's like, what's your problem? Okay, got it. Okay, here's some medicine.
You've definitely been to some doctors like that, right?
Yeah, but usually GPs, like those GPs especially that I return to or go back to, it's when they provide the added level of service, right? Yeah, and they reassure you, they tell you, you can call us anytime. I'll even WhatsApp you, I'll help you find the medication, because we don't have it here, things like that. And I've been to a couple of GPs recently, young GPs, who just opened their clinics and all. And I was very impressed with the level of service they were providing. They were using Gen Z lingo. They were saying, hey, just text me on WhatsApp. Don't bother about calling and things like that.
And you understand the lingo. You understand the lingo.
A bit okay lah. Yeah. Not too bad lah. Not too bad. But my point is that they know they know how to talk to you lah. They talk to you as a human being, and it feels much more like much less like a very cold visit to the doctor, but like someone who actually cares about you lah. And that factors into my choice of returning to that person one day. So that churning of patients model, I don't see how that can help you build long-term relations with people that you want to see for generations, right? Their families and their children and all that as well. That's one part that confuses me. Yeah.
And the another part for me is like, what we are starting to see in F&B, where you get more franchises taking over, even in the heartland areas, And it feels like, suddenly the GP clinics go down that path where you don't see this GP who, lives in the area, just wants to cater to the residents there. Maybe has one more clinic, but that's what they do. It might just be chains and chains, which is why I actually think Ong Yi Kang's response, pointing out something that I had no idea was in existence. I mean, it's not attributed just to him because it is for MOH and HDB, but that policy actually, I kind of like that approach, as opposed to putting like a rental cap and then, making sure it doesn't go above a limit. But make rent be part of the consideration, but also make what else you can bring to the clinic part of the consideration as well.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, actually, this PQM thing, not bad. I like the idea of that.
But don't you worry that, I mean, at the end of the day, it's also just a quantitative assessment of what the clinic can bring, right? So ultimately, they could, let's say this Tampines site went through their whole PQM model. They can still turn around and say that, we've assessed everyone's bids. Although this iHealth had the highest bid, but they also provide the best service, so we're going to give it to them anyway, right? Then would that piss you off even more?
I mean, it would piss me off less because it feels like they are making a promise to deliver this and this and this care. Then at least there's something to hold them accountable to. Like right now, the rent, that's the only benchmark. That's like saying, hey, this person chose the other date over me just because she got more money.
Yeah.
But not about the personality.
Correct.
Now it feels like, even if it would have ended up the same approach, it feels like, okay, you are putting this as part of your tender, that you will do this and this and this. Then we see, like, if you don't deliver, then you fail on your promise. Otherwise now, what is failure? Just not paying rent.
Yeah,
but if you can pay it, then so be it.
Yeah. I mean, one good thing about what Ong Yi Kang's post also has reminded everyone, right, is that there's not only just one solution to this problem of rising rents or people overbidding and things like that. There's a lot of different ways that you can look at it, and I think you mentioned one about capping rents, right? But there are also other things that have been suggested by people in the industry and all that. They say that you could maybe there can be a rev share model between the landlord and the tenant, right? And then maybe rentals can only increase or is pegged to something like inflation rates, right? So you can slow down the acceleration of rental rates, because in cases like this where it's you could say it's a freak bid, right? Where someone bid more than double of what the second highest bidder bid. Could there be some cap in there that rentals are not allowed to go beyond whatever the last 10 bids were in other areas or so, or things like that, right? So it's just to quell the escalation, the spiraling upwards of rental rates in Singapore, whether it's for healthcare or for any kind of commercial rental rates. I think that they need to address that, because I think there's a very big discussion of it in F&B already, and everyone's feeling the effects of this, and our wining and dining scene in Singapore is dying. And now, like, something that cuts much closer to the bone, like healthcare, is also facing this issue.
Yeah. And I mean, you just wonder, right, if this person didn't post this on LinkedIn, if this didn't go viral, this would all just be happening under our under no one's notice. I'm sure the authorities and all, they are aware, but it maybe doesn't feel like a problem. But it just feels a bit unnerving, a bit unsettling.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I mean, this PQM also don't know how it'll work. At least it feels like, like how sometimes when you hear certain leaders and all say, oh yeah, but the increase in rent does not translate to higher costs and all that, then it feels like, how does that make sense? At least this feels like, okay, it was already something that was discussed. I'm guessing things like the PQM is not just overnight, right? So it feels like it has been a problem they've been addressing for a while, I hope. And see how this goes.
Yeah.
But I mean, kudos to Ong Ye Kang for responding in a way that makes me feel like, oh, okay, this is being addressed by one way, one approach.
But there seems to be two lines of thought emerging in the establishment, right? That rent is a big contributor to rising expenses for households, and the other side trying to beat down that view that rent has any real bearing on household costs, right?
Or like it's a small percentage of the cost.
Small, and there's larger things at play in terms of the global economy and everything, right?
Yeah.
So I think this is quite interesting to see this difference in opinion between Ong Ye Kang and Ho Ching here, right?
Yeah.
But thankfully, Ong Ye Kang is the Minister of Health, so he can make some effective change straight away, right?
I mean, Ho Ching also hard to say that she's part of the establishment. She's, married to the establishment.
Correct. Yeah. Right. She's a key opinion leader.
She's she's an influencer.
KOL, right?
KOL, correct. But she's not making policy, But it just feels like, she really has to step into everything.
She does. Yeah.
Crazy.
But speaking of influencers and key opinion leaders, right? One of the things about being recognized on influencer, I think we felt it a lot when we were doing our GE bus as well, right? A lot of places we went to, the Yellow Bud fans and Yellow Bud listeners all came, and we were just so happy to see every one of them. Like, we made sure we shook hands and spoke to every one of them and interacted with every one of them. But wasn't so much the case for some people. Some people might not enjoy that much. And that has become a focal point of discussion because of a video that has gone viral on TikTok featuring a key opinion leader, right?
Yeah.
Who is this person?
It is the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs and Trade and Industry, Gan Siow Huang. So the video shows her getting out of a car, being greeted by 8 men, including one wearing a red shirt. So she shakes one person's hand, but the man with the red shirt, who helps close the door, extends his hands for a handshake, but she kind of shakes someone else's hand first, and then kind of weirdly shakes the person in red hand, and then carries on to shake other men's hands. So a lot of handshaking. But when you watch the video, it basically feels like she was trying to avoid shaking the man in red his hand for quite a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, this was her attending the inaugural Pek San Ting Cultural Festival at Pek San Ting in Bishan. So yeah, it's organized by Kwong Wai Siu Pek Tang Sieng, a 155-year-old cultural institution managed by the Cantonese Clan Associations.
Yeah.
So in her defense, she said it was her first visit there. She was overwhelmed by the group that went to greet her. And she said, and I quote, "When I got out of the car, I was trying to identify the host of Pek San Teng and shake hands with the host first. I was also a little overwhelmed by the big group that received me when I got out of my car. I sincerely apologized to the man in red shirt for the delay in shaking hands with him." So, I mean, the video went pretty viral, and you can find it on like Reddit and all that.
Yeah.
But when did you first see this?
Just today actually. I'm just looking at news and everything.
Oh, just today?
Yeah, just today. Yeah, it just hit me today. How about you? You heard it?
I saw it last night. I saw it last night.
Okay. When you were like, in your COVID stupor.
Yeah, COVID state. Then like I was like, is this an old video or new video and all?
Yeah.
So people should watch it because there is a big welcome for her, including like lion dance performers and all. So yeah, she comes out of the car, she shakes a man's hand, and then the man in red closes the door, sticks out both hands to try and shake her hand. You can see she looks, and then she just shakes another man's hand, and then just briefly touches this guy's hand and carries on.
Yeah.
So I mean, just to describe the visual, the man in red, he's not wearing a shirt. He's not wearing a tie, unlike the other men. He kind of stands out as being like the most informal. He's wearing a cap, whereas everyone else, there's a white shirt, like walkie-talkie, they have a lanyard, and maybe more typically civil servant type people. Whereas this old uncle, he looks different.
Yeah.
And he's not wearing something you would expect out of like a civil servant working in an office. So, okay, I mean, I described that whole thing. I think if people can find the video online, you should watch it. But when you watched the video, what were your thoughts, Terence?
It's quite funny because the video starts like with what you say, actually on the lion dance.
Yeah.
That is welcoming her. So, if you watch the video without the sound and all, you might think that she's just, exiting a car and big road people. But there's a very big like welcome for her, right? And she's not exiting the car at some official drop-off point or something like that. I think she literally just parked the car in the parking lot, and she's getting out of the vehicle. And then she's already accosted by at least 5 or 6 people. There's even a cameraman who runs in front of the car and jumps in front to make sure that they capture the moment on camera and all. So there's a lot going on, right? There's a lot going on. The man opens the car door for her and closes it for her. Does he open? No, he closes it for her, right?
He closes it for her.
And he has both hands outstretched, right? I think one thing to shake her hand, then maybe have very firm welcoming shake with 2 hands, right? When you shake someone's hand, then you use the other hand to clasp it together and all. Yeah. So I don't know. I was just watching the video and listening to the audio also. It was quite overwhelming, right? I can kind of imagine if you just parked your vehicle, maybe you're late or something, or then before you even have time to actually gather yourself, people are already hounding you at your door. There's a lion dance literally dancing right outside your car, and a cameraman waiting to watch every step of you stepping out of the vehicle. So maybe there was some element of oh wow, this is quite overwhelming, right? And she was just captured in that moment where she barely had a second to really get out of the car and get her bearings. And she might have accidentally missed the guy's offer for a handshake. Because like I said, he didn't just stretch out one hand to shake your hand. He stretched out both hands, right? And when someone has both hands stretched out to you, do you immediately think of handshake? Is that what you think of? If I come to you with 2 hands like this, I
mean, a bit hard to see your hand, but if I look at the man and his position of his hands, it's clearly a handshake, Terence. I don't know how many people come up to you with 2 hands out in the open.
Yeah. No, I mean, so I actually think it's possible that she did not see that as a immediate gesture for handshake lah. But the guy does stand there for a while like this lah, right? And
Yeah.
he's sort of swinging his arms in front of her here and there.
Yeah.
So there could be, it could, after, if you stand there long enough, it's obvious that he wants a handshake lah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so that's your PAP
My
apologies.
dog, my PAP dog tendencies are coming out lah. Buying into her explanation.
That's right. Because if I was just listening to you and if I had not seen the video, I can imagine that happening. But when I watched the video, I'm like, wow, this one is a bit much lah. Because I mean, of course, people have slowed it down, zoom in and all.
Yeah.
You can almost see her take a glance at the man's hands, glance back up, and then immediately shake the hand of a man next to the man in red. And then, I think the man in red kind of like his hand was still there. Then there was a brief handshake lah. And she carries on chatting, and the man walks away lah. And I mean, I'm based on what the t-shirt he's wearing, it feels like he's part of the lion dance troupe. Because he also had that Chinese character on his t-shirt.
Yeah.
So to me, I look at this, I'm like, sorry lah, if you are not a public figure, if you're not a senior minister of state and all, I think it's more plausible. But part of your role, during GE, you go and shake thousands of hands, all that one, all okay. But in this case, suddenly your handshaking skills, you a bit taken aback. And she's not new to parliament. She's not new to being a public office holder. She's been in parliament for 2 terms already. Right. So, I don't know, man. I look at it, I'm like, oh shit, this does not look good on her. And it almost feels like she didn't want to shake his hand. I don't know why.
Yeah. I'm trying to look at it in slow motion. And I guess the part that is the most damning, if anything, is where she literally almost brings her hand over his hand to shake someone else's hand, right? She sort of fishes her hand out of pocket and then almost goes over the other guy's hand to shake another hand.
Yeah.
But then again, you could say that, I mean, her explanation is that she was looking for who's the host of the thing, right? And she was, a lot of times, I know you don't practice it, right? But there are people who, especially I think in, institutions and all that, where hierarchy is a very big thing for them, right? Where if you don't shake their hand first or something like that, they get offended and all. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying that's how some old fuddy-duddies are about things like that. And in some way, maybe she as a politician is trying to, scan and look for the most senior person that she should be shaking hands with or recognize for the photo opportunity first before anyone else. Because ultimately she does shake the guy in red's hand after some time.
But it's them off lah. It's almost he had to grab her hand and then she's like, oh, okay, and then she move on.
Yeah. It wasn't a good firm shake. So,
yeah.
But if anything, this GE has kind of also shown me is that not every politician necessarily has a good firm handshake, right? Sometimes it's very I'm like that. I feel a bit like that guy in red like that sometimes, where I'm literally grabbing onto a politician's hand when shaking their hands. And it's just their style. I don't know, maybe they're just so used to people grabbing their hands and all that. They don't have very big, firm handshakes that are so that you feel so welcome and so loved when they hug when they shake your hand like that.
True lah, but you compare that with I'm looking at a video, she shakes hands with 4 other men right after. So 1 before, 4 after. There's more than enough handshakes to kind of compare and contrast.
Yeah.
And it does feel like, wow, this one, it's almost, to me, it's not even ambiguous kind of thing. It's he's also shorter than everyone else. So maybe she didn't see him because her eye level is above his head. Also feels a bit weird. The sad thing is I think his posture is also slightly, I don't know whether he has a spine issue or something, but he seems a bit hunched.
Yep.
So just the fact that, here are these men, many of whom are well-dressed, shirt, tie, lanyard and all. And there's this gentleman who, part of the lion dance troupe, but he's dressed in a t-shirt, maybe not as prim and proper, with a slight hunch. She doesn't shake his hand. It just doesn't look good lah. It just doesn't look good. And like, I mean, maybe she was flustered, but wow, this one is, it just looks terrible on her. I can see people in the comments saying, I'm going to save this for 2030 to play in 2030. But yeah, this one is almost inexcusable for me.
It's not a good look for sure Yeah, because ultimately, even if it was a mistake or anything like that, the very fact that the guy is not as prim and properly dressed as everyone else, makes him stand out more, and the fact that you didn't shake his hand makes that stand out And this brings us back to that the case of Seet Ai Mi right, who was a Singapore politician with PAP who got last time got in trouble before the elections.
Who's that? Seet Ai Mi.
Seet Ai Mi. Yeah, she was actually Singapore's first full minister, I believe. Yeah, she was an acting minister for community development in 1991, but she lost her seat in parliament at that GE itself later that year to the SDP. And a lot of it was chalked down to the fact that she did not, or she was seen washing her hands after shaking hands with someone who, in the wet market, someone who was working in the wet market. And I mean, many years later, she clarified that she washed her hands because she had shaken hands with a pork seller and she wanted to clean her hands before meeting Muslim residents. But that did not come out back in 1991, and it was quite a big hoo-ha that, a lot of people say cost her a very close election where she lost to Ling Hao Dung of SDP. So, I mean, don't underestimate the impact that these kinds of videos or images of you looking elitist and things like that could have on your political career. It could have a real discernible effect on your career. So I agree that it's not a good look. Although I want to give her benefit of doubt because it's just I watched the video. It is quite a lot of people, quite overwhelming. But maybe as a politician, your default should be I shake everyone's hand, regardless of whether they're part of the team or part of the party or part of the welcoming committee of people, whether they're in a suit or a tie or even just even a cleaner or anything like that. You should shake their hand regardless.
Yeah, exactly. You have to just carry like disinfectant with you, whatever, hand sanitizer if you want. You need to shake everyone's hand. Yeah. Even with the COVID from 5 years ago and all, I think the expectation now, or at least if you don't want to shake, then you don't shake anyone's hand.
Correct. Yeah.
You be like Terrence fist bump.
Yeah, fist bump. Air fist bump also can.
Air fist bump.
It's the spirit that counts.
Not always Terrence. But the consistency and I think this is just one of the downsides of the job
Yeah, but you're going to let something like this rob us of talent in our government. You're going to let this little handshake thing rob us of like Gan Siow Huang's talent as a minister of state and all.
I mean, not necessarily rob. We have 5 years to see people for who they are as MPs and ministers and senior ministers of state and all. And this to me is it could be an indication of something about a certain someone. So not to say that we cast your vote just based on this, but it's just something to take note
Yeah, great Yeah,
something to take note.
A tough one.
Tough one, man.
I mean, I guess the next step is to ask the person in red, right? The man, how he felt about it, because we're watching from a distance, but maybe I don't know, maybe she apologized for not shaking his hand earlier or something. That is, if that happens, then I mean, it will help to also quell a lot of the feelings of anger towards her as well, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, he looks a bit dismayed.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just from the video. I mean, it would be cool if she collaborates with the Lion Dance troupe.
Yeah.
And she just like shakes hands with all of them. But I mean, funny, even the GE, there was that viral handshake between that fan and Alexis Deng. That was like the complete opposite. That was a handshake that went on too long.
Yeah.
Too long. This is a non-existent handshake.
Correct.
But yeah, man.
But yeah.
Interesting.
So that's another interesting story. But I mean, you got 5 years to think about it.
Yeah, correct. Sweet, man.
And now, on to the one Shiok comment, which is a pretty exciting.
I mean, there were so many comments that people were giving based on our 15-minute persuasion debate last 2 episodes ago. And I mean, for context, if you didn't hear that, it was on episode 671, I believe.
Yeah.
671? 672?
671.
671, where Terence and I were talking about a certain topic, and I was arguing that the writer was persuasive, and Terence was kind of pushing back and asking me whether I was persuaded lah. And whether, I mean, because that kind of means that the person's persuasive or not. So I mean, not going into the details, we went back and forth for 15 minutes. I personally did get irritated with you during the discussion, and I think you did get irritated with me, like legit lah, right?
No, I didn't get that as irritated as you, because I was really seeing it from we are debating about a real topic, but I think you got very defensive about it.
Fuck you, okay? You're doing it again. I'm saying I saw the irritation in your eyes. There's a baseline irritation that you have with me, Terence. This was way beyond that, okay? So
no, but I think you cannot attribute your irritation immediately like project it on me lah. I really did not feel as irritated as you probably did lah.
Okay, so I was irritated. I was irritated. So I was irritated, and I mean, I think it was quite clear that there've been 2 times, including that I think we went into like there was a certain genuine irritation lah on our podcast. One was an episode way back.
Yeah, way back.
So this one, I mean, we debated for like 15 minutes. We moved on, and then after that we stopped recording. I think we didn't even talk about that, right? Because it was just part and parcel of the job lah.
It's part and parcel, yes.
So then the comments for the next few days, I think people, I mean, to be fair, some people sided with you, some people sided with me. I still stand by what I said, and I don't know if I'm projecting when I say that you still stand by what you said.
I mean, I do look back, and I think actually we were just arguing in circles a little bit lah.
Yeah.
Right. I think you had your opinion, I had mine. It's okay to have different opinions about it.
Yeah.
I think if anything, maybe the more interesting debate would have been, do you think critical spectators a good writer, as opposed to saying that he's persuasive? Like, I think that can be more objectively argued, right? Whether someone is a good writer or not, or a bad writer and all. And I think that's where, and it's also easier to land at, okay, we differ on this, and it's okay to have differing opinions. But what we're arguing about is like, is he a persuasive writer? And I think your take on whether someone's persuasive is different from my take on whether someone's persuasive. So we're just starting from completely different grounds, and we're just arguing circles. At the end, we still, again, still stand separately, not any closer to any kind of agreement.
Yeah, correct. And I mean, like the whole variance of what people responded, some people said, wow, I live for this shit.
Yeah.
This is great. This is why we love Yalaba. Some people said, oh, long time listener, but I couldn't take it after a few minutes and I turned it off.
Yeah.
Then some people say, oh, can we have some quality control? Because this was 15 minutes of my life I'll never get back. Some people thought we legit would have issues with each other after that, which was funny. But I mean, out of all that, one of my favorite comments was something that came to us through Instagram. So it's a DM, so I won't give the profile name. But they basically said, "Hi Terence and Harish, first time caller. Caller, so you can tell the age lah. Have been following your podcast since GE 2020. I listened to your recent episode on persuasion versus persuaded and wanted to share a few insights, as the topic reminded me of a class I took on rhetoric, defined as the art of effective or persuasive speaking or writing during his or her undergrad in English Lit Studies. So basically, there are 4 rhetorical appeals: logos, ethos, pathos, and kairos. Logos appeal to logic and intellect. Pathos relies on emotional responses of the audience, and then goes on to explain it quite technically, and then pointing out what our different arguments kind of relied on, which I thought was like, oh, this was a comment that I learned something from, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And then they did say that I thought your discussion was much needed in light of the broader trend of polarization in society, and hope that you two will continue to engage in robust debates in good faith.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed the comment.
Yeah.
What about you?
On YouTube, someone Distracted Diner wrote, thanks guys for the masterclass demonstration on how to do a real argument over the term persuade. It was heartening listening to you guys spend 6 to 9 minutes trying to understand each other's point of view and dissect what it means to be persuasive in the context. Given how non-threatening the topic on persuasion was and how intense the back and forth was between you guys, it just shows how much more challenging and How much more challenging is needed for proper face-to-face conversations on different topics? This is so lacking right now in proper public discourse, made even worse in our internet age of keyboard warriors, and how challenging it is to actually have a proper discussion online. Thanks, guys. So yeah, people
Sweet,
say
man.
it was a masterclass demonstration on how to do a real argument.
Some people also said we were like a married couple who just got into an argument and had to move on.
Yeah. But the truth is, I think it's these are people who listen to us a long time. They're not too perturbed.
Fussed.
Yeah, they're not too perturbed by this. This happens once in a while, and I thought, it was just at the end of the day, after reflecting, maybe the argument could have been framed differently, but it was still an interesting argument regardless.
Then some people say because I never show enough concern for your ankle, that's why you're angry.
Or you never sleep because you were taking care of your child and everything.
No, but like what someone, quite a few people said is that's what they appreciate Yalabat for, which is something that I really appreciate as well, that they kind of value that we are trying to be as real as possible, because I saw someone from the team of Flight Studio, which is Stephen Bartlett's creative studio, and they had Jimmy Fallon on recently, and what he did during the podcast, he kind of like uncovered certain things about the podcast that I didn't know. So there was one editor from the company that said, Jimmy Fallon blew the lid on Diary of a CEO in a way that kind of highlighted why he loves Diary of a CEO so much and why they're so innovative. Because what Jimmy Fallon did, right, was he pointed out, I think the question from Stephen Bartlett was like, how do you keep things from going boring if you're doing the same thing every day? And Jimmy Fallon said, you need to keep experimenting, keep pushing. And then he said on the podcast, look at you guys are 10 cameras here, and so much of this is not real. And then Stephen Bartlett starts laughing. And then he said, there's no chandelier here. He goes to the walls and all that. So what Diary of a CEO actually does is, for a lot of clips, if you see a chandelier at the top, right, it is masking the two mics that are sticking out.
I see.
Yeah, and then the wall, I think it's a green screen or something and all that. And when I watched that, right, I was a bit like, wow, serious? And
fake.
Yeah, and it made me kind of like really cherish the what we are trying to do here. Of course, we don't have like the resources of Stephen Bartlett, so even to do that would be difficult. But to me, when I saw that, I was like, that's a bit perverse for a podcast that is all about authenticity and all that. But you're making it seem like you're sitting below a chandelier, but it's digitally inserted.
And he's also started a new AI podcast, like a podcast that is his AI voice, right?
Yeah, he's scripted by him, but it's read out through AI.
Yeah, it's like he doesn't want to put in the effort to read out anymore.
I think they are just all about optimizing.
Yeah.
So whether it's effort or not, and that is, going back to the first thing, right? Like, there are certain things that are done, certain services that are provided, but when it becomes all about optimizing and economies of scale and all, right, I think it loses a bit of its soul.
It does. Yeah.
So when I saw that on Diary of a CEO, I'm like, wow, serious.
Yeah.
But yeah, so cheers to arguments.
Yeah. These will keep happening.
That is
and, those of you who enjoyed it, I mean, it's not the end, but we also, be more conscious also of time also that we spend on this. Because I do think because of the argument also, maybe there wasn't as much focus on, say, like the second topic that we're talking about Uniqlo and Ketania and all that as well.
Correct,
so
correct.
I would have liked people to also be talking about that issue.
Yeah. But cool, man.
But yeah. And how about your one Shiok thing?
My one Shiok thing is a trailer I watched recently called Trainwreck Poop Cruise. Have you seen it?
No.
It's a documentary that's coming out on Netflix, where there was this huge ass cruise with like 4,000 people that set sail on 2013. But after a small a fire on the ship, I think all electricity got cut .
Yeah.
And for the next few days, right, it became mayhem because the sewage and all that was not working. So there was like poop and pee in the halls, and
damn.
It was just mayhem, and like violence broke out and all that. There were biohazard bags, there were raw sewage all around. So it's a documentary about it. I never knew this thing happened. Yeah, there were 4,000 passengers.
Oh, correct.
So for 4 days before it could be towed, there was no air conditioning, without lights, without water, without food or working toilets.
Oh man. And now it's a show.
It's a documentary.
Oh, wow.
Re-looking it like, holy shit, man.
It's like the fire festival of cruisers.
Yeah. I thought it was like some B-grade comedy or something, but it came to be known as Poop Cruise because there was poop everywhere. lah.
Oh man. Jesus. That sounds like
Man,
horror.
oh man. Yeah.
Yeah.
4 days. But yeah, man. What about your one Shiok thing?
Mine is real horror, like speaking of horror, like as in a horror property. Recently a trailer for the new game Silent Hill F came out.
Oh
And it's
my
basically it's coming out for PlayStation, and it's you know the game Silent Hill? Have you heard of it?
No.
It's like psychological horror lah. So it's a character that enters a town called Silent Hill that has like devoid of humans anymore, and strange things start happening around her. So that was the first Silent Hill, but this one's Silent Hill F, which is it's now set in like fully in Japan. So it's a Japanese psychological horror game where it's a secluded town where these students who come from those towns start realizing very horrific things happening as a sudden fog descends upon the town. Yeah. So yeah, the trailer just looks really, really creepy and scary, and has that whole
my God.
Japanese horror vibe to it. Yeah.
And you've played Silent Hill before, is it?
Yeah, long time ago.
But
It's been a while.
It's apparently the 8th installment.
They've done many very many versions of the game already.
So which one do you play?
Wow, one of the early ones on the PlayStation. Yeah.
Oh my God.
But yeah, it's freaky. It's freaky, to say the
Oh
least.
shit.
Yeah.
That looks crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
But cool. Wow.
Cool.
Been a while since it's been a while since we recorded one in the studio, like a whole week already.
Yeah,
since Pursuit Gate.
yeah, because it was funny, the Wednesday episode that we spoke to that civil engineer.
Yeah, Joshua.
Some people pointed out, Harish and Terrence over their spite already. So fast. I mean, the truth is, we did record that previously, but even if we had to record it on the day itself, we were over it in like 5 minutes.
Yeah. It was quite interesting to see how everyone was reacting to it, like in real time. Yeah.
It was damn funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, cool. Hopefully Wednesday I'll be in the studio.
Hopefully you get better soon.
Man.
After more rest at home.
Yeah.
And that line disappears, right?
Yeah, man, the line. Fucking line.
But cool, man. All right.
Awesome. Thanks for listening, everyone. Remember to follow us on social media if you haven't. And if you want to work with us,
email us at contact@ministryoffunny.com or check out ministryoffunny.com.
awesome. Thanks for listening, everybody. And we'll talk to y'all soon.